Jorge Antonio Vallejos, and you're watching BlackCoffeePoet.com. And I'm honored to have Debbie Young here with me, playwright, dub poet, actor, and soon to be opening her show, the Sankofa Trilogy.
Thanks for having me, Jorge.
Thank you for coming, and I'm really excited about this. So, Debbie, can you please tell BlackCoffeePoet.com viewers a little bit about yourself?
I am Jamaican Canadian. I spent the first 15 years of my life growing up in Jamaica and being raised by a village of incredible storytellers, including at the helm of it was my mom and my grandmother. And then I moved to Canada when I was 15 and spent the rest of the time being here, being raised by another eclectic group of artists. So when I put those two periods of my life together, I've been raised by storytellers. So it's no surprise that I am a storyteller as well.
Wow. And when did you start writing? Because I was first introduced to you through your books, and then I found out later you are a dub poet, and then you do performances like this.
I started writing really early because I had my mom there, who was an actor and a playwright and a poet herself, and she was one of the pioneers of dub poetry. And so very, very, very early, the example of the norm, the example of the everyday was watching these working class, because we were all poor in Jamaica, and we were using art, and I was watching my mother and her colleagues and her sistrins and brethren use art as a way to speak about the environment that they're living in, the social environment, but also the political environment, the economic environment, so that poetry and storytelling was always, for me, what I observed, the place that you got a chance to speak your truth or to question, So writing or creating orally early started like 2 or 3, and my mother was really invested in having me develop as a storyteller, even if I didn't end up doing it, professionally, full-time type thing. But she understood very, very early that for us, when I say us, I mean like all of humanity, the only thing that we have really that is at the center is storytelling. The math is stories, the science is stories, the religion is stories. Everything is a story, so that if one can highlight that at the center and learn how to tell their own stories, they can be really powerful. So I started writing early.
Wow, excellent. How was the writing transferred to what we are going to be seeing at the Carrigon Theater November 4th to December 4th?
The dub poetry is first and foremost a spoken genre. So dub is primarily about this, we call it chanting. You chant about what you observe in your environment. You chant about what you're feeling inside. So that act of chanting that comes out of African oral storytelling traditions it's first in your body, and so the plays are a reflection of what has been in my body from the time I was born, essentially. So the plays are an attempt at chronicling parts of my life, chronicling parts of my mother's life, parts of my grandmother's life, and so on, and so on, and so on. And life in Jamaica, in the case of Blood Clot and Word Sound Power. Life in Canada, in the case of the second play, Benu, which deals with motherhood and motherlessness. So all 3 plays are really looking at Black womanhood, family, lineage, courage, fear, legacy, movement, immigration, and each play looks at a different aspect of the reality as I see it. So we start with Blood. It's the first of the trilogy. It's actually going towards the end of the run, but the first one, Blood, is looking at a 15-year-old girl and how she comes of age in her body, and in relation to her boyfriend, and in relation to her granny, and in relation to the people at school, in relation to her environment, and of course in relation to herself. Then the second play, like I mentioned, talks about motherhood and motherlessness. It's a new mother who, she doesn't know much about this thing because she wasn't raised by her mother. And then the third play looks at revolution, and how do we create revolutions first and foremost within ourselves, and then how do we create revolution in our communities.
Yeah, so revolution, my understanding is that the play started out with what happened in Jamaica in the early 1980s, where there was a lot of violence with the two political parties, Edward Seaga, Michael Manley, and then you've told me that it's moved on. It's set in the future, actually, so 40 years later, basically.
It's okay. So one of the most amazing opportunities that Tarragon Theatre gave me was the opportunity to work with a collective of skilled theatre practitioners who in their own right are brilliant at what they do. So that I came in as a playwright performer and then have this incredible supporting cast that includes Camelia Koo, did the set and the props, and then Michelle Ramsey, who did the lights, and then our wonderful Christian, who production manages and just makes sure that it's all running fantastically, and then Cassie Walker, who's our script coordinator, who just helps me to remember what I said the last time and puts down on paper what I said this time. And then many more people, right? So no director.
Okay.
Which means that inevitably the direction is a collective vision. So, I came in, I have my ideas around, I based on Herstory and based on the other two plays and based on workshopping, this is what I'd like. But the end result of the thing is a collective, collaborative process, which is how we made theater in Jamaica. That's how I grew up, making theater, watching my mother make theater, where people come in and they give what they have to offer, and everybody weighs it and sees if it makes sense. And if it makes sense, then we go ahead with it. And if it doesn't make sense, we don't obsess.
Yes.
We move on, And so it's been that kind of process, which for me serves the kind of theater that I'm most interested in creating, So that's been amazing. Now, during that process, it occurred to me that the retrospectiveness of the play didn't necessarily serve the people in the same way that looking into the future would. If we look around at all the demonstrations that are happening globally, all the sit-ins, all the walkouts, the world is changing, and I mean the world is always changing, but we are here now and it's changing right in front of our very eyes.
And you're helping make it change.
So why not comment on that? Why not add some energy to that movement? And so I thought, well, let's put it in the future. Let's put it in the future, and it's not necessarily that the choices they make in the play are the choices we should make, but it's something for us to look at, like, what is the price of change? What is the price of change, and how do we weigh the consequences of our actions when we're fighting for change?
Okay. So it's set 40 years later. Do you go back? Do you start off in the 80s?
Yeah, we sort of graduate. We sort of graduate up to there in the very theatrical way, like lots of suspension of disbelief. But the political leader who we see, he sort of speaks from the past and comes all the way up into the future, and you sort of have to believe that time is moving all the way up to 2012.
Okay. Yeah. So I think a key thing is you lived this experience. You were there.
I was alive. I was very young.
Yes.
I was very young, and the story my mom tells me, which is, again, like, this work is heavily influenced by my mother, is that she was politically active in that time, and they had to hide. They had to hide because that election was dangerous.
Yes.
So a lot of her story comes into Word Sound Power in that way.
What I was told by a very good friend of mine, Rupert Harvey, he is a Roots Reggae Juno Award winner from the group Messenger, and he told me that in that time, over 1,000 people were killed in Jamaica, and he said, I remember his quote, not one family in Jamaica was not affected by this whole thing. This is a very important play that you're putting on.
And interestingly enough, we have jumped 40 years later, and the situation is not that much different, right? So that the relevance, I feel, and this was another reason to set it into the future so that it's not easily dismissed, the relevance of what the play is saying about where we've ended up supposedly post-colonized. However,
there's no such thing, actually.
when we look at the lay of the land, we realize that all that happened was a changing of the guards and a changing of the hands. And in fact, the people who are most oppressed continue to be oppressed. And even as we change political leadership, or even as we develop a growing middle class, it doesn't affect the pillars of oppression. So that even if we change, for me, it's like it's not enough to advocate for changing the skin color of the people who are oppressing the people. That makes no sense. If you have an issue with oppression, then you must look at oppression. If you have a black person oppressing a black person, that doesn't make it any less oppressive. Like, that makes no sense to me. So the play is also an attempt to look at the ways in which there are parallels drawn between what has gone on historically in terms of colonization, but we must also look at the fact that we are reproducing the same behavior patterns. We've just replaced them with black people, which for me, that's not a solution. If you have an issue with oppression, then one must address what kind of system allows people to continue to perpetuate that kind of unequal behavior.
So this is exactly what you are questioning in these plays.
Yeah, essentially.
Excellent. Well, let's take a little look at a piece of your play and have viewers see some of what you are going to be featuring here at the Tarragon, and then we'll come back to finish our interview.
Lovely.
Excellent. So let's take a look at what Debbie does.
This is a warning. John 9 tell them, said this is a warning. No, we not care where you come from, it's a new dawning. Tell the people of Jamaica, revolution's rising. Look to the east and the west, sit there upon the horizon, yeah. Tell your friend, tell your mother, tell your cousin, we're a new generation. We're not afraid of nothing, we want liberation from capitalist prison. Don't call me West Indian because I am an African. This is a warning. This is a warning. My friend, me say, you go to school 5 days of the week, relearning the fiction of history, written from the position of them victory. But a pure lie, them a tell. So won't you step in my class and make me tell you about the past? A new lesson for today, to save the people of tomorrow. A time for we decolonize. Woman and man say we must realize it's a broken legacy we are legitimize when we keep our eyes closed and act surprised. The liquor fell upon the street, in my pack a liquor neat Ozzy. I get a youth with a few options, him say gang a him family. Watch him go out in a blaze of glory. You remember when we used to play in the dirt, and that's why you can lift up them skirt. Dan the shandy, hide and seek, spin the buckle, get a kiss on the cheek and a flirt. Now you see the youths, them a come here off a splurt. Open up a fire, everyone bite the dirt. Him have a big old gun, him wanna have a fun, him don't know that him time soon come. This is a warning. My friend, me say, poets tell them, say this is a warning, and we not care where you come from, it's a new dawning. Tell the people of the world, revolution's rising. Look to the east and the west, sit there upon the horizon, yeah. Tell your friend, tell your mother, tell your cousin, we're a new generation. We're not afraid of nothing, we want liberation from capitalist prison. Don't call me West Indian because I am an African. This is a warning. This is a warning.
Well, Debbie, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you
That
for
was
having
that was
me.
excellent. I'm very excited to see your play, and I really hope that viewers who are in Toronto, in the country, come out to see Debbie's new play, and also. Hopefully you'll be touring more and more. There's viewers from everywhere. I know that. Maybe you could talk quickly. You're based in South Africa at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm based in South Africa, in Cape Town, but I'm currently on a global tour. I'm on a 15-month global tour,
Okay.
which begins here. So we're going to launch a new album here called 333.
Okay.
We're launching it in Toronto on December 5th, in Montreal on December 6th, and in Ottawa on December 9th.
Okay.
And then from there we go to India, and then from there to UK, from UK to Africa, from Africa to Europe, from Europe to Australia, and then back to Africa and the Caribbean. So we're essentially going to there. We're covering all the continents except Greenland and Antarctica.
Excellent. So we've got viewers in every place you just mentioned. So all my viewers of blackcoffeepoet.com who are in all the countries that you just mentioned, she's coming to you. So please check her out. And how can they? Do you have a website?
Yeah.
How can they see you?
All this information is on www.dbi333.com. So that's www.dbi333.com. Everything's on there. Everything.
Okay. And you have a Facebook page also?
And I've got a Facebook page, DBI333. I mean, you can just find me anywhere on the web at DBI333.
So please keep tabs on Debbie, and when she comes to your country, please
Please
see her.
come,
She is
please
so
come,
talented,
please come.
and it's a great honor for us to have her on blackcoffeepoet.com.
Thank you, Jorge.
And
Thank you.
please friend me on Facebook. I am Black Coffee Poet. I'm also Black Coffee Poet on Twitter, and I've got a Facebook page as well. But my identity on Facebook is Black Coffee Poet. And check out, of course, blackcoffeepoet.com. And thank you so much.
you.
It was
Thank you.
excellent
Thank
to
you.
spend some time with you. Thank you for making time for blackcoffeepoet.com. And I'm very excited about seeing your show. And don't forget to come check out Debbie if you're in Toronto at the Tarragon Theatre, November 4th to December 4th. Thank you very much for joining us. See us in future, please.
Thank you. Thank you.